All counties are now under winter weather alerts, making tomorrow and Thursday WRAL weather alert days. And what you see depends on where you are. We're working around the clock with new models showing specific totals and timing. See when multiple rounds of precipitation start and who could see a shift from snow to sleet to freezing rain.
Our third storm of the winter is bearing down on North Carolina just months after an historic hurricane hit the western part of the state. Can North Carolina afford this response?
Well, get ready for back-to-back WRAL weather alert days. It all starts tomorrow between 10 a.m. and noon. Thanks for being with us here at 7 o'clock. I'm Ashley Rowe. So here is where the storm is right now. It's over St. Louis, and in a matter of hours, it will be on our doorstep. Some counties are under winter weather advisories, others under winter storm warnings. And that's why many school districts either close tomorrow or are going remote. Wake County schools will be closed. They are shaded in red here on this map. Durham and Orange counties will be remote. They're the ones shaded in green. Kat, some folks could see between 2 to 6 inches of snow.
Yes, we've got snow in the forecast. We also have sleet in the forecast, especially around parts of Wake County, and to the south, some freezing rain. So a little bit of everything to talk about. A little bit of a slower arrival today. That's one of the new trends. We expect the wintry weather to arrive between about 10 a.m. and noon. The other new trend in terms of the timing is Thursday morning, the upper level energy could swing one final light snow band through the area that could put a final little dusting of snow on top of everything we see Wednesday. The winter weather alerts are in effect from 7 a.m. Wednesday to 10 a.m. Thursday. A winter weather advisory in purple, winter storm warning in pink. This is the higher of the two in severity, the winter storm warning in pink. And that's closer to where we have 4 to 6 inches of snow in the forecast here in the northeast part of our viewing area. We removed Roxborough from that and added Person County along with Durham County, northern Wake County toward the airport, Lewisburg, Rocky Mount to the 2 to 4 inches of primarily snow. And then as you get to this tier right here, including Raleigh, down into southern Wake County, 1 to 2 inches of snow and sleet. We are expecting sleet to mix in here. Wilson, as well as parts of Johnston County included in that. And then the southern part of our area, we dropped this line down a bit for more areas to see up to 1 inch of snow and sleet. Still, it looks like the primary concern for that quarter-inch glaze of freezing rain accrual could be close to Goldsboro, parts of Sampson County, but I have removed Wilson County from that since yesterday. As for the timing, 8 a.m. we should be okay in the morning. It's as we get to 10 a.m. to noon that things really deteriorate on the roads. So if you can just stay home all day, please do so tomorrow. Through the afternoon, we'll see the winter weather continuing. It's likely to be mainly snow north of Raleigh around Wake County. We'll see that sleet mixing in. And then to the south, more sleet, perhaps some freezing rain through much of the day and evening. Once we get a little later into the evening and night, I think we'll dry out. So by midnight, maybe a lull before this final band could swing through Thursday morning. This should be light, but just a heads up, you could see a little snow early on Thursday. Coming up, we'll take a look at the Can My Kids or I Go Sledding map. Ashley.
All right, Kat. DOT crews have spent the last few days getting the roads ready for this storm. Today, the governor freed up some resources, calling for a state of emergency. Let's go live to WRAL's Aaron Thomas in Raleigh. Aaron, the city started its brining process in addition to what the DOT added. What's that process been like?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Ashley. In fact, just within the past 20 minutes, we saw a truck with the city of Raleigh that came on this road. This is Avon Ferry Road. You can see some of that pre-treatment that's on here just to ensure everything is safe. The transportation manager for the city of Raleigh told us that it takes about 12 trucks to get all of what you see here on the road, and they can save up anywhere between 50,000 gallons worth of salt and brine for moments like this weather event that we're prepared to have.
Aaron, you're on Avon Ferry, obviously a very busy roadway. The secondary roads are what I'm also thinking about. Those are also an issue. How does the city plan to treat those roads?
Yeah, so if we can give you a big number, 845, that's the number of miles that the city of Raleigh, there's the number of miles of roads that the city of Raleigh has to treat as we prepare for this winter storm. Most of those involve roads like Avon Ferry, and then over here behind us we have Western Boulevard. So those are some of the main roads that get high volumes of traffic. That's going to be their priority. We were told by the transportation manager, Jason Holmes, he said that those lower volume roads will be another priority once accumulation falls. So you'll likely mostly see a lot of the salt and the pre-treatment on some of those roads that get higher volumes of traffic.
Okay, and one more question for you, Aaron, if you can. How long does this whole prep process take?
So, we were told that they had been out here as early as yesterday, and then you had some crews that were out here at 9 getting the roads ready. But, once this storm comes in as far as tomorrow, where I think we're expecting anywhere around 10, as early as 10 a.m., but some of those crews will be in just hours earlier.
We'll have crews here starting at 6 a.m. And we'll be monitoring the weather. We'll probably have them strategically located around the city. As soon as we start to see any accumulations, we'll make that determination. Do we start going out and trying to push anything off the roads?
And Holmes adds that it takes about an inch of snow or ice or any sort of precipitation to fall for them to start scraping and trying to get a lot of that off of the road. And of course, we'll be following much of this on our late news beginning at 10 on Fox 50, and we're monitoring what other towns, some of the preparations that they're going to be taking as well.
Absolutely. All right, Aaron, thank you. And hey, count on WRAL to have you covered on this winter storm. You can wake up with our morning news in the hours leading up to these impacts. And when you start seeing the winter weather where you live, if it's safe to do so, please snap a picture or take a video and share it with us. Go to WRAL.com/reportit to upload, and you may see it on TV. Brian.
Here in the WRAL Live Center, Ashley, we've learned that a Fort Bragg soldier is facing charges tonight. This is 20-year-old Dustin Goodrow. And this all started back in late January when Aberdeen police got a report of a missing juvenile. Investigators say while they were looking into that, they determined that Goodrow had solicited that minor for sex over the internet. Tonight, Goodrow is facing charges of first-degree kidnapping and also soliciting a minor. He has been given a $150,000 bond. We are working to find out more about whether that missing juvenile has been located.
Thank you, Brian. Another lockdown at a Durham high school, a bobcat with rabies, and the head of the Postal Service resigns. Let's roll through today's headlines. Here are 5 things that you should know right now. Riverside High School went on lockdown today, the 3rd time in less than a week. Sky 5 flew over the school today. Durham Public Schools says a report of a gun on campus led to the lockdown. The lockdown was lifted, but then a second tip led to that second lockdown. That one was lifted too. DPS says all students are safe. Rescue workers scrambled to save a man's life after he drove into Hope Mills Lake. Sky 5 was over the scene around 11 this morning. First responders found the Honda Civic in the water with the driver still inside. 2 police officers and a firefighter went into the water, pulled him to safety. Nobody else was in the car. The bobcat that attacked a man in our area tested positive for rabies. Greg Slaughter says the attack happened on Sunday near his home by Mayo Lake. The bobcat bit and scratched him. Slaughter went to the hospital and got multiple rabies shots. Wildlife officers tracked down the bobcat and put it down. More mental health services will be coming to Wake County schools. The school system has been expanding these services out of growing concerns for youth mental health. The program starts in July. A federal grant will fund 27 therapists and crisis counselors for 5 years. Postmaster General Louis DeJoy is stepping down. DeJoy first took the job in 2020. Before that, he was a big Republican donor, spending years as the head of a logistics company in Greensboro, North Carolina. His goal was to make the post office profitable. It's now in the middle of a 10-year restructuring plan. Another winter storm, another expensive bill for the state agencies that have to respond to it. Overtime, equipment, salt, and other supplies, right? It all adds up in a budget year that's already been full of storms and disasters. WRAL Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie asked state leaders today whether they have all the money to cover it.
After a few pretty quiet winters, this is our 3rd storm of the season, and those costs are really adding up, especially as state officials are scrambling for money to respond to Helene. State officials say each winter storm this year cost the State Department of Transportation $20 to $30 million to respond to. That's on top of the more than $400 million the DOT has already spent on Helene recovery. Hurricane Helene has really stretched our state resources in terms of emergency management as well as DOT. Is there sufficient money in those budgets to handle this third response to this third storm?
Yes, our budget is strong enough to handle this storm. We will continue responding to the Helene Recovery 2. Work will be ongoing even through this week as the storm hits.
Helene washed out I-40 in Haywood County near the Tennessee line. Governor Josh Stein recently said the state is working to get one lane in each direction reopened by March 1st. State Transportation Chief Joey Hopkins says they're still on track.
Right now, we do not expect this storm to impact that, but we'll keep monitoring and keep recovering as we move forward.
Stein said the emergency budget is fine in the short term as well. The real need is for long-term Helene recovery. He's proposing a $1 billion aid package. Republican lawmakers say they've already spent more than $1 billion. Their next proposal would be about half that amount.
I thank them for their willingness to start spending some real money to help us get the work going, but we're going to need more work, more help along the way.
Laura Leslie, WRAL News, Raleigh.
State House lawmakers were planning to vote on their $500 million aid package this week. That vote has been postponed because of the winter storm. They're expected to vote on it next week now. Tonight, state officials released a proposal on how to spend a $1 billion federal disaster recovery grant. The state is asking for public input. Well, President Trump is going for efficiency, and for him, that means making cuts. U.S. Forest Service workers were on the chopping block. Thousands lost their jobs, including in North Carolina. Is this a good idea or a bad idea? We're going to talk about it after the break. Another executive order signed by President Trump today. That makes 66 total, if you're keeping track. By the way, we're not even a month into his new term. This new order expands access to IVF. It's a subject we've tackled before and we will tackle again. But tonight, let's focus on another of the president's orders. You know, there's so many it can be hard to keep up. But here at 7 o'clock on WRAL, we are going to try our best. An executive order passed last week aims to make cuts to the federal workforce. One of the first departments losing staff, the U.S. Forest Service. It's time for another installment of our newest segment.
Order up.
Tonight, we are focused on this executive order. It's titled Implementing the President's Department of Government Efficiency Workforce Optimization Initiative. It calls for a plan to reduce the size of the federal government's workforce through efficiency improvements. It continues, agency heads shall promptly undertake preparations to initiate large-scale reductions in force. We've talked about that reductions in force here at 7 o'clock as well. Here's how this is already playing out. The Forest Service fires 3,400 people after deferred resignation deadline passes. That deferred resignation thing, it might sound familiar. Last month, Elon Musk and the new Department of Government Efficiency sent an email titled Fork in the Road to 2 million federal employees. It gave workers the two options, right? They could resign now, keep pay and benefits through the end of September, or they could stay on the job with no guarantee they would keep it. A federal judge refused to block this, and the deadline for workers to make their choice has now passed, and that's why thousands of Forest Service workers are out of a job. It's led to headlines like this. U.S. Forest Service layoffs raise concerns over Colorado wildfires and economy. Workers have called it a slap in the face and like having the rug pulled out from under me. Here's how one worker in Washington State put it.
All the people I work with are like family, and just imagining not working with them anymore it hurts.
For many of these people, working on our national forests is their dream job. A woman who was just fired from her Forest Service job in North Carolina posted on Facebook. She writes, I'll tell you that when I first opened my Forest Service uniform, I held my badge and cried. I was so proud to be part of the agency. Jennifer Bunty says she spent the last several months working on cleaning up after Hurricane Helene, and she's not the only one. The Asheville Citizen-Times posted this today. U.S. Forest Service workers' firings threaten Helene recovery in western North Carolina. The Forest Service is part of the USDA, and we reached out to them about this. A spokesperson told us the new Agriculture Secretary supports the president's orders. Their statement goes on to say, to be clear, none of these individuals were operational firefighters. And that's probably smart. You know, firefighting is one of the most important parts of the Forest Service. Earlier this month, in fact, they responded to a fire in McDowell County. It burned 644 acres. About 100 people worked to put out the flames and the hot spots. Many of them work for the Forest Service. Last year, the U.S. Forest Service made up about 4% of the total USDA budget. That's a little over $8 billion. $2 billion went to wildfire prevention. But consider this. Every year, national forests contribute $15 billion to the U.S. economy. Clearly, the Forest Service doesn't just work on wildfires. Last year, Forest Service workers planted 10,000 red spruce trees in North Carolina. They kept a close eye on peregrine falcons nesting in the mountains to protect their young. And then there's the Hurricane Helene recovery. Forest Service workers restored the Black Mountain Campground. Forest Service workers restored a river crossing at the Roan High Knob. Forest Service workers cleared hundreds of miles of roads and trails. You might think all this stuff is great, really important. Or you might think they're just okay, or maybe something that the states should tackle. The president has made it clear where he stands. And look, we don't know if these layoffs will make significant changes to Helene recovery or wildfire prevention or conservation. I do, though, want to read you one more piece of that post from Jennifer Bunty, the Forest Service worker from North Carolina who just lost her job. She writes, "In my time working for this agency, I think I've made a difference. I talk with my daughters about how we can do hard things, and we should always do what we can with what we have where we are at." I'm sure a lot of Forest Service workers are feeling the same way. Kat?
Let's take a look at tomorrow's WRAL Weather Alert Day. We've got a winter storm on the way, and here's what's new for you this evening. Our watch was upgraded today to a warning or an advisory, depending on where you live. Bottom line here, odds are growing, confidence is increasing for an impactful winter storm tomorrow. The timing slowed down by an hour or two for the arrival, and Thursday we could see a little snow in the morning as the upper level energy swings through. That's also new today. We had a 20% chance of that yesterday. We went ahead and bumped it up a little bit today. Here's the winter storm right now, a lot of snow. We're going to see a lot more pink on our map as we see sleet, and then in our southern counties, some freezing rain mix in. But I'm more concerned about the sleet around Wake County as opposed to the freezing rain. We've also got to keep an eye on these thunderstorms that have developed along the Gulf Coast. Sometimes when you see storms fire up in this location, they can kind of rob us from the moisture that moves into North Carolina. We see this happen a lot with severe weather events. Usually that's great news because it takes out the moisture and the severe threat for us. But for this, that could potentially cut down on our snow totals. Meteorologist Mike Mays will monitor this for you, and he'll monitor the new data coming in tonight and let you know if he's got to cut those down at all. But as of right now, we're feeling pretty good about our numbers that we have on the map. And I know a lot of people want to know, we see the numbers, but does this mean my kids or I can go sledding? The answer is yes. If you're in green here, a maybe still for Raleigh and the southern part of Wake County, and it's looking less likely for Fayetteville, Goldsboro, Southern Pines. Still in that maybe zone, though, for Raleigh, since we're going to be kind of right on that sleet line likely. This type of snow is much different than the last one. The last one, you could just wipe it off your car. You could use a leaf blower to get rid of it. Easy peasy, powdery. Not this time. It's going to be more of a heavier, wet snow, which is better for snowmen, though. If you do have pictures of snowmen sledding, anything in your area, your family having fun, we would love to share them on TV. So we want to let you know in advance. Go to WRAL.com and search Reported. That way we can share some of those photos and videos on TV tomorrow as our winter storm unfolds. Futurecast 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, likely off to a dry start. By 10 a.m. we start to see the wintry weather moving in, and that will continue through noon likely, and then a very active radar expected through the afternoon, through the evening. Here's potentially that back edge, though, that starts to kind of clear out of here maybe 9 p.m. to midnight. and then the upper level energy swings through, and this could generate a final snow band for us early on Thursday. That should be out of here by noon. With this final snow band, I'm not expecting it to dump a ton of snow. It could leave a nice light dusting on top of what we see during the day tomorrow. Just didn't want anybody to be surprised if you do wake up to some snow early on Thursday morning. Thursday, also a WRAL weather alert day. We've got lingering issues on the roads. It's going to be windy with winds gusting up to 30 to 35 miles per hour. Friday, we get more melting during the day with full sunshine, 42 degrees. And then a big warm up in store. We could be near 70 this time next week, Ashley.
Oh, Kat, what the changes are something. Thank you. 3 more people honored with the Order of the Longleaf Pine. It's a pretty exclusive club. Why this is such a big deal in tonight's One Last Thing. One last thing for you tonight. Today, 3 people received one of North Carolina's most prestigious honors, the Order of the Longleaf Pine. The order goes to people who have made significant impact and strengthened North Carolina. Today's honorees included former state health director Betsy Tilson. She helped with the state's COVID response and helped to expand Medicaid as well. Stein also honored longtime businessman and philanthropist Tom Lambeth and Raleigh Police Chief Estella Patterson. Chief Patterson is retiring in March. I want to underscore just how cool this award is. Just to consider some of the other North Carolinians who have received it over the years: Maya Angelou, Michael Jordan, Billy Graham, Coach K, Roy Williams, Christina Cook, John Hope Franklin, Scotty McCreery. I mean, these are household names. They're politicians, donors, artists, journalists, veterans, scientists, leaders, entrepreneurs, right? The award has been around since 1964. It's been presented to 21,000 people. Very impressive. And congratulations to today's recipients. Thanks for making WRAL your choice for local news. We'll see you again at 10 and 11.